guess what happens if you say
I
that?
know,
to
I
yourself?
know. But it's been so long, going on so long.
So give us a quick rundown for the camera. Firstly, what's your name?
Halina.
Halina.
Yeah.
And what's wrong, Halina?
Okay, so I've been sort of ill the whole of my adult life, and I've been working on it the whole adult life. So I've been trying to recover from my childhood, my whole adult life, like 20 years. It was a very unsafe, very unhappy, very lonely and horrible childhood, basically.
Right.
And I didn't want to be defeated by it, but my body has kind of been defeated by it. But I've been trying over 20 years Reiki and meditation and Qigong, desperately trying to heal myself, but it doesn't seem to stick. It doesn't seem to get anywhere, and actually more and more symptoms just keep crowding in, and it's kind of hard not to get really despondent.
Right.
And then last year, I've had a lot of abandonment stuff as well, just like a really weird pattern of abandonment that I'm trying to work out why it keeps happening. And then last year, my fiancé passed away, so I tried to cry, and that's just sort of destroyed me, really. He just died very suddenly of a heart attack. And he was away from me, he was in America, and I've just been really broken since then, and I was kind of broken before, so it's kind of hard. Yeah. And it's the symptoms of thyroid, throat. But I get loads of pain in my thyroid, and my neck, and I get heart palpitations, my digestion doesn't work, and now my hips and my legs are very stiff, like fibromyalgia pain.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So this will be an interesting.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. All right. And problems with vision?
Yeah, I've been short-sighted since I was very young. Yeah.
All
I
right.
can't see. I'm blind to the back really without the glasses.
Yeah. Okay. Right. I'm going to get you to take the glasses off.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yep. Fine.
Yeah. I'll just leave them somewhere where they won't get broken. Thank you. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Let's see what happens. Okay. So my feeling is the reason that.
Heart stuff.
Is that okay?
Lots of heart palpitations throughout the whole evening.
Ah.
It's like, oh, what's going on?
Yeah. So I suspect the reason she's been chosen, because as much as her finger went up, the surgeon lets me know where I'm going, is because there's going to be a really nice teaching around this, okay? We all have what we think of as a childhood, all right? But whatever were the features of that childhood, it's not who we are. That's just some stuff we've experienced. Now we're living in a world where you're encouraged to value yourself in some really weird and wonderful ways. We're encouraged to value ourselves through the job that we do, through the car that we drive, through the clothes that we wear, to how much we weigh and what we look like. And none of those have any bearing whatsoever on your true value. You can only know your true value by spending time in here. Now I'm going to tell you a little story, all right. How many of you played that children's game? Do you know, the name escapes me. You put some chairs in a row and say there's 10 kids, you'll put out 9 chairs. What's that? Musical chairs. Remember musical chairs? Great bit of fun, isn't it, when you're little, yeah? But think about it. I want to tell you this story. All right. So there's a little girl and she's playing musical chairs for the first time. And so there's 10 kids and there's 9 chairs, and at first she doesn't get the hang of it, then she gets the hang of it. Anyway, it gets down to 2 children, and there's 1 chair left, and when the music stops, it could be her with the one, and because she's a nice kid, she lets the other kid get it. And now she's the loser. What are we programming our kids with that game? It is a bit of fun, but you're teaching them to snatch and to grab, to push, and the winner is the one that grabs the seat. It'd be nice if we have a different version of that game, wouldn't it? Now, if we extrapolate that idea from a very young age, you're taught to get attention. Mummy, look at this, Daddy, look at this, teacher, look at this, miss, yeah? And sometimes we don't behave in a way that is absolutely in alignment with us because of that need to get attention. What really needs to happen is we need to turn our eyes inwards and give us attention. You need, and this is for everybody, you need to give you attention. You need to recognise your good qualities. You need to recognise how hard this lifetime has been. You need to recognise how hard you've tried, what you've put up with. You need to recognise. And this is the shift that we need to go from being worried about what everybody thinks of us, to keeping our awareness within ourselves and realising that it only matters, am I happy with how I am? That's all that matters. Am I happy? Am I happy with my actions, my behaviours, what I've said, what I've done? Now, how is that feeling to you, me talking like that?
My brain feels a bit scrambled, actually.
Your brain feels scrambled, that's a good sign. That means I'm rewiring them, yeah. Not literally, but it's the brain's going, pause this, that's not the way I've thought of it. But it's a simple thing, that little musical chairs. The greediest, most aggressive, pushy child wins, and you're rewarding that. I've never seen that game in that way before. I only heard that story this morning, that's why I'm sharing it with you, but it seems relevant for this one. And so what you experience in childhood is not who you are. That's just some stuff you've experienced. But what you've experienced in the whole of your life until now is not who you are. That's just some stuff you've experienced. So who are you? You are consciousness, having an experience. All right, now the surgeon, Dr. Augusto, is just saying, and you become too identified with this form. I was on a plane going out to India to see a spiritual guru called Sai Baba, when I suddenly realised that when I felt a feeling, it went out of me. I felt it, my body's chemistry, then it went into the plane, then it went into the passengers, and it went out into space. And I suddenly realised, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that all my feelings go out forever. That's scary, isn't it? All my feelings go out forever. So old hurt, happiness, joy, whatever I felt in the past is still rippling out somewhere there in space. Now, when we're in pain, we're not letting our feelings go. We're identified with this form and we're holding them in at some level on a physical level. So one of the quick ways to get release from pain is to not identify with this body. So I'm just going to give you a little experience of that. Are you ready for this? Some audiences get it and some don't. And if you don't get your money back. All right? I'm going to uncondition you or unprogram you. All right? When you were little, you were taught, somebody pointed to these and said, toes. So what you do is you look at your toes, point at them, see your own finger, wiggle them, that's it, you can see them inside your shoe, or point to the shoe where your toes are, and just say toes, just remembering that somebody taught you they were toes, and then you've got foot, point at your foot, then ankle, shin, calf, knee, point at each part, thigh, hips, stomach, waist if you've still got one, chest, arms, elbows, wrists, hands, fingers, got to look at them, won't work unless you look at them, you have to look at them, point, yeah, wrists, fingers, fingernails, little fingers, thumbs, shoulders, and then head. Leave your finger there. When you get to the head, leave your finger there. Okay. All right. Now, what I want you to do is just look down at your body. Can you see that in the space where your head should be, every other part of the body, you could see the space, you could see the part. But now, when you put your hands here, you've got some blurry fingers, the rest of this room, the backs of some people's heads. You've got shoulders, you've got a body, but you are actually, in fact, a headless body. Can you get that feeling? Yeah, if you can, you've got it. This is called headless. It was taught by a guy in England called Douglas Harding, and the website is headlessness.org. This is one of the ways to enlightenment. Now, as a headless body, everybody else out there has a head that you don't. In the space where your head should be is there. Now, if you've got a bit of hair like I have, it's a bit weird because there's just this hair hanging. Right, now when you are in that space, headless, there are no problems. The alternative to that is to be living inside your head with a constant stream of dialogue. Oh, it's not very warm in here, they should have opened the windows. I wonder if I'm going to get out of the car park okay. You know, I need to eat some more supper. You've got internal dialogue constantly, yeah, that's describing the reality. Or you can be headless, but when you're headless, there are no problems. Now, did you manage to get headless?
Yeah, I think so.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Can you take yourself there again? Just press there, that's it. Yeah. And I did wonder if this was why Indian people had the red dot there. But it's not. It's not. It's a wedding thing. Yeah. But if you held your finger there, this is how you get there. Just you're headless. All right. Now this is why little kids. Remember, you've seen little kids when they're playing hide and seek. They think they can be playing hide and seek, and they just go. And the reason for it is this. I want to take you back to my childhood. I was 3. I was headless, and I was in the lounge, and we've got a long lounge like this, but not quite as big as this. And I've got a wooden spoon and a saucepan. So I was headless, and I was banging a wooden spoon on a saucepan, and I was feeling the vibration. So even at 3, I was aware of vibration. It was bong, 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 bong. And my dad came in through the door at the end of the house. Now, that's only this big. Bong. Jeanette, stop that. Bong, bong. Dad got bigger. Bong, bong. He came right up to me. Bong, bong. And he took the spoon off me. He was a good dad. And he said, I've asked you 3 times, as if 3 is the magic number. Why have you not stopped? And I took the spoon back off him, and I said, because I am me and you are you, and you can't make me do anything. Bong, 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 bong. Then my mum smacked my bum, and I was sent to bed. I never laid a finger on me, it was always mum's job. Right, so in that state of being headless, I was God. Because he was only this big, and I could make him disappear. Yeah? So children, when they're in that state, that's why they go through the terrible twos. Yeah, if you've had a toddler go through the terrible twos, because they can't understand why they can't make you do things, because you exist inside of them when they're in that space. Now this is one of the ways to enlightenment, it's one of the fastest ways I know. When you are there are no problems, everything just is. You can drive a car very safely in that state, it's like advanced driving skill. Now when you are in pain, if you can go into that state, let's say you've got a knee pain, like the worst thing you can do with a knee pain is put all your awareness in the knee, because then it's 100% of your experience of reality. If you can expand your awareness out, and the knee relative to that, and then you imagine yourself under a starry sky, and relative to that, the knee pain becomes less. Yeah? It still hurts, but it will become less. All right. Cool. So let yourself go into that, we'll call it headlessness. Okay, God bless, God bless, God bless. All right. Now, Dr. Augusto de Almeida is explaining that pain is real. Pain can be caused by a build-up of, for example, acetic muscle in a tissue. It can be caused by a part being damaged, wear and tear, torn muscle. Pain is real, it is real. But how it affects us, we have some leverage. Because if we can distance ourselves from the pain, if we can make our experience of self vast relative to the pain, it will become less. Then it won't take us over and become us. One of the things that happens as we go through life is we acquire a story. So my story was I was born in 1962, and then along came Karen, along came Paul, and I became a big sister. I acquired a story. When I was good at something at school, that inflated my ego. When I was not so good at school, that diminished my ego. I was really good at spelling and reading and maths, and I was no good at hitting a ball. The reason I was really good at spelling and reading was because my mum taught me to read before I went to school. So my inflated ego knew no bounds as a 5-year-old, because I was the only kid in the school that could read in my year. So I thought I was the bee's knees. What I didn't know was my mum had sat down every day for a year teaching me. If the other kids had had their mum do that, they would be where I am. But you can get an inflated ego because of your experience. But you can also have a diminished ego. When it came to knitting rounders, my parents never played rounders with me, so I stood there, and when the guy missed my bat, I was in. He missed my bat. I'd never played it. And I thought, well, that's a bloody unfair game. I didn't like that one bit. I stood there perfectly still and he missed. Yeah. So we derive our sense of self from the stories of the past, but it's not who we are. We are consciousness. All that's been happening for you, though, is what's been happening in a very quick way is, firstly, you've been analysing the story, and you've been trying to create for yourself a new story. All right. You don't need the stories, guys. You just need conscious awareness. Just bring conscious awareness into this room. Many of you could awaken right now and become enlightened right now. The only time that you can become enlightened is in this moment. All right, it's always now and you're always here. You've been conditioned to think of past or future. Let's think about it. What we think of as the past is a previous now that we recall or not in this moment. If you don't think about the past, it's got no power over you. You might have subconsciously, that's a whole different story. As a general rule, if you don't dwell in the past, it has no power over you. But you see, in trying to work it all out, you've dwelt in the past. And so you fed it. You didn't mean to, but that's what happened. But all is not lost. There's been huge learning and huge growth. Yeah? Now, this could have saved her 20 years. It's a bit late to tell her now, isn't it? But this is the thing.
It's in my unconscious as well, though. That's why I had to work on it, because all the illnesses seem to come out of I have night terrors, I go night walking, sleepwalking.
Yep. It's in the subconscious. We'll talk about the subconscious first. Well, there's two things I need to talk about. So subconscious we're going to talk about second. What I'm going to talk about first is how I could have saved you 20 years, and it's this. All right, see if you can grasp this. It's a very simple sentence, but it has the power to change your life. If you never make anything wrong, you will never have anything that you need to forgive. Most of you have been programmed to think, you know, things are good or bad, people do good or bad things against us, and we've got to work really, really hard to forgive those people against us. But if you never make anything wrong, there will never be anything to forgive. So if you don't make what happened wrong, it just was what it was. There's nothing to forgive. Not everybody will be able to get that one, and that's okay. But you can see now that if you'd had that 20 years ago, it might have been useful. Right, now let's talk about your subconscious, because we do need to understand about your subconscious. Right, your subconscious is that part of you which is running the show. You like to think that you're conscious and aware, but 90 to 95% of the time you're actually being run by your subconscious. You decide, I'm going to have a salad, and then the chocolate eclairs come out and you find yourself eating a chocolate eclair. Or you decide, I'm only going to have a glass of wine before dinner, and then the whole bottle later you're thinking, shall I have a brandy? All right, so who is running the show? All right, now, in terms of what comes into this body, you have two very good, they could be allies or enemies, it depends how conscious and aware you are. They're these. One of the things that you can do is you can program these only to put good, healthy stuff in here. Just tell them, right, now, hands, I expect you only to put good, highly nutritious food into here, and I am going to be watching you. Have you got it? All right? But if you need to bring yourself into consciousness, what better than watching your own hands? Watch what they put in here. Stop! No, put that cream cake back. Right. If only you remember it once, it will stop you. Yeah, you see? Right. Consciousness is the name of the game here on earth. All right. If you become more conscious, you've got more choices. Now let's talk about your subconscious. Your subconscious got programmed between the ages of 0 and 7 for all of us. Even if we had the best mum on the planet, our subconscious got programmed. Mum didn't always have time. Many of our mums had to go to work. We had to get left with somebody. We didn't want to stay with grandma because grandma's smelly. whatever the story was for you. But what happened was your subconscious got programmed. And try as you might now as a grown-up to think positively and be healthy and make good choices and have good relationships and look after your finances, 95% of the time, the prevailing program is the subconscious. That's what's running the show. So we've got to get into the subconscious, and you'll see it. It's easy, I can tell you which is which. The bits in your life you like, that was your conscious brain working. The bits in your life you don't like, that's your subconscious, that is manifesting in accordance with your subconscious beliefs, which will tend to be your parents' beliefs. Yeah? You're playing out what your mum and dad believe about money, what your mum and dad believe about relationships. That's what's playing out in your life. How do you program your subconscious? Probably the best person doing work in this field is a guy called Dr. Joe Dispenza. Go find Dr. Joe Dispenza. He'll show you images of the brain before meditation, after meditation. People with dementia, before meditation, after meditation. It's mind-blowing stuff. Now, the easiest way to program your subconscious is when the brain's in theta. That's like a hypnotic trance. The reason we're in theta 0 to 7 is we've got to learn everything. If mum and dad had to stop every time to tell us, no, eat your peas, or that's water, sit on a chair, or whatever, we'd never learn. So 0 to 7, we just learn. We're like sponges, we just learn and take everything in. And we're in theta. So in theta, you go into theta just as you're going into sleep. And so on my website, I don't know if I've got them yet on the UK website, but on the New Zealand website, which is .com, JeanetteWilson.com, there are 3 theta recordings. They're £1 a piece for different things. And you can listen to recordings that will reprogram your subconscious for different things. And I'm just experimenting with them at the moment, but they're having really good results. I've got people losing weight with them. It's like they're not designed for weight loss. I don't know what I said that's making people lose weight. It was more about health and vitality, but of course, the journey to health and vitality is weight loss. So they're working. Right, now how are you feeling at the moment?
I've got a lot of tension and pain still in my chest and my throat and the thyroid.
Yep.
But I'm quite warm.
Quite warm. How's your head feeling?
Lighter.
Lighter, cool. So 90% of the work is in the head. All right, as much as you've got aches and pains elsewhere, it's head. All right, and you've got to get yourself out of head. You've got to get yourself into consciousness. So if you let your awareness go and feel the space in the room. We've been used to living in here, but just let your awareness go so that you can feel the space in the room. By staying in awareness, what you'll find is your symptoms will gradually start to diminish. I'm also going to do a reframe. This is from NLP. This is going to kickstart the healing, and it's to say this. If you haven't been your mother's child, somebody else would have been. Maybe you're a bit of a hero. Maybe you took one for the team. You ever thought of it that way? No, that's a reframe, you see. Yeah. Yeah, so maybe you being you, maybe you having the child that you did prevented somebody else less capable from suffering. Yeah. All you need now is like the fast track to let go of the past, and it's this simple. It is truly this simple, guys. I can say it's this simple. Saying it's one thing, doing it is another. Stay in this moment. This moment is all that exists. Truly is. What you think of as the past is a previous now. You recall them in this moment. What you think of as the future is a mind projection of what may or may not happen. The only bit that's real is this moment. All you've got to do is keep your awareness in this moment, and in this moment, do what feels right for you. Eat what feels right for you. Drink what feels right for you. Spend company with the people that feel right for you. Stop going into past, dredging it all up emotionally, trying to work it out intellectually. You don't need to. The past does not define you. It's just some stuff you've experienced. What will define your future isn't your past. It's going to be the quality of your choices you make in this moment. So keep your awareness here and now and make very good choices, and that will determine your future. How does that feel? Right, notice how your shoulders and your chest and your thyroid are feeling?
Shoulders are dropped.
Yeah, cool.
Still a bit, but yeah.
Still a bit? Okay. All right, so all she's got to do is be here now, and the second part is be herself. It's not that hard, is it? Be here now and be yourself. It's all you've got to do. It's all any of you've got to do. Be here now and be yourself. Cool. Now I'll explain why the thyroid was affected. On the metaphysical level, the thyroid means, when will it be time for me? When will it be time for me? Yeah? And I talked earlier tonight about how the importance of having eyes to see ourselves. Turn your eyes inwards. See you. See your essence. See your goodness. See what you've been through. Have compassion for you. Be there for you. It's not about getting the attention of that world out there. It's about you seeing you. You seeing you. It truly doesn't matter whether Mum saw you or not. What matters is, do you see you? Cool. How's that feeling?
I could feel that vibrating in there.
In there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So now it's time to manifest an amazing future. It's time to let go of the past. You don't need it. You don't need it. All you need is this moment. That's all you do, is you stay attached to this moment. How do we stay attached to this moment? We have 5 wonderful senses: smell, seeing, hearing, nature, life, other human beings. Lots of things can keep us in this moment. But the conditioning is heavy. Everybody around you is in mind. You walk down the high street, they're all in mind. How many people say hello to you with no even eye contact? Bring yourselves into presence and you'll awaken really, really fast.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Cool.
I'll give you a hug.
You're sure.
Thank you.